Got too many screens in front of me. Okay. I got the cat. I got the soundboard.
Shiny man.
That was good.
Got him!
It's a limited soundboard.
Why is it limited?
Because the computer that the soundboard's normally on, you're on. So I could have it up, but then you wouldn't hear it. All right. Everybody ready?
Sounds good.
Start the show in 3, 2, 1. Live from OCD Studios and coming at you from twitch.tv/OCDcast, it's Boards and Swords. That's right. It's Boards and Swords. This is the podcast where we're entertaining the world of tabletop gaming. I'm one of your hosts. My name's Chris Renshaw, and left on or right on my screen, there's Philip.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And then over to
all the way on the opposite side of your screens.
yeah,
We're the leftovers.
yeah. Technical difficulties aside, I swear, like normal episode.
You shouldn't. This is a nice podcast, Chris.
I know I shouldn't. But like a normal episode, no problems. But the one episode I'm like, hey, help us get to Twitch affiliate status, you know? Then all of a sudden, all heck breaks loose. You know, suddenly like my streaming program won't even open. Colin and Cindy's internet decides to go bad. I don't know, but we're
Shiny day.
yeah, and then there was the fact that we couldn't, you know, this whole week's been a nightmare because, like, my sink decided it wanted to just destroy itself, and so did the microwave, so my upstairs is a disaster zone. Because why pay someone when you could use the internet and figure out how to do it yourself?
Yeah.
That's 4?
What?
That's. I hear that's why YouTube was invented.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the although Ashley's still trying to fix the microwave, and I'm like, at what point is it just worth buying a new microwave?
Yeah, that is a good question.
That's I was like, when should we get them? Like, when the cost to fix it is above the cost of just buy a new one, that's when the trade-off happens.
Yeah.
We had to buy a new one last fall.
The Magnetron was dead.
Yeah, I think that's what's up with ours. But you don't care. This isn't a microwave podcast.
It isn't?
It isn't. Nope.
I thought this was the Appliances Network.
By the way, shout out to Richmond in the chat room so far. Hopefully we get some more people online. But
Hi, Richmond.
how about let's find out? You want to hear what's in the news, or at least gaming wise?
Yeah, let's hear.
I've actually got it written down this time, so I don't have to take up extra screen space here. Speaking of food, interesting we said this. The first piece of news is in Philip's favorite genre, which is food.
Food.
I like food.
Philip loves food.
Daily Magic Games has announced that they will release the game Food Truck Champion in February. The game where players try to have the best food truck, funded on Kickstarter last year for like $51,000.
I remember this.
Yeah, I remember it too, seeing it on Kickstarter, but it's now going to release in February as a retail release. And I highly expect customers will really eat up this game.
Yeah, it was one I actually considered backing.
It does look very interesting. The concept of a food truck game, I've seen there's like, there was another game, I think that was in this, or no, like a fast food kind of game, I think.
There was Kitchen Rush.
No, it was like Food Chain Magnate.
Oh, yeah.
That's a thing. Yeah.
That is a thing.
Yeah, just the idea. It's one of those that, like, I'm kind of curious, like, how do I try this out?
I think that's a long game, isn't it?
Food
Probably.
Chain Magnate is a very ugly, but apparently very good game.
That's what I've heard. But I reading through some of the stuff for Food Truck Champion, it seems like it would be a winner. So, as we hear Con and Cindy's dog.
Yeah, she's trying to play with me.
It's okay. I got the cat. The cat's. I got a live audience here. As you could tell, Oscar the cat's really interested. He's kind of the OCD mascot. He's so entertained. He's licking himself.
That's not awkward at all.
No. Quit taking a shower. Anyways, getting back to games. Ryan Reynolds is going to be in the upcoming remake of the board game Clue. You know how they made a movie based on Clue? Well, they're making another one. And this one's going to have Ryan Reynolds in it. And not only that, it's also being written by the people that were behind the movie Deadpool.
Ah.
Is it gonna be like the original Clue?
No idea. Some people are
That's a good movie.
some people are assuming that this means the movie's going to be super raunchy, you know, because Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds, they
Yeah.
kind of fall in there. But I just want people to keep in mind the premise of Clue is that you're all potential suspects in a violent murder at a dinner party gone wrong. On a
Yeah.
related note, why is this a kid's game? Has anybody thought about this? Like,
No.
one of us murdered somebody by beating them over head with a candlestick.
No, never thought about that, but I played it all the time as a kid.
Yeah. Everybody.
You don't actually see the violence, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just the after effect where everybody's just accusing each other.
It's in the past.
Weird.
So we mentioned Kickstarters. Gaming Kickstarters were all the rage in 2017. Backers raised 36% more towards tabletop games than they did the year previously in 2016.
Wow.
The total amount raised through all these different Kickstarters was $137.77 million.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. 0.77.
Yeah. Of course, you might say that Simon was a rising factor in this green hoard of money.
Nah.
And I say that because Rising Sun and Green Horde,
Rising Sun.
I looked up and I did the math. Out of that $137 million, Rising Sun and Green Horde did 9.2 million of that.
Oh my word.
Wow.
Yeah. And then also there was Massive Darkness was last year. Or no, that may have been 2016. I can't remember. I think it released to backers last year. I can't remember. All these
Was that with
things.
Simon too?
It was Simon.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Speaking of Rising Sun, by the way, I just want to say, I have been refreshing, the shipping page nonstop because, everybody on Twitter is getting their copies, and I'm supposed to be in wave 1. It says I'm in wave 1, and I haven't even got it as shipped notice. But, I'm just freaking out. I keep, looking at, UPS and, the Postal Service, seeing if I got any incoming packages. It's any day. I'm on, high alert here.
I was wondering what that clicking noise
Chris,
was.
You see, Chris, you're in wave 1, but it's just like some of those college textbooks where they got page I. And
Yeah,
page
this is
I,
wave
and page
0.
Yeah, those guys are in wave
I'm
I. and
my
wave I.
copy is out there. It's probably somewhere in the United States. It could be here any day now.
So your postal carrier is actually playing the game, and he's
Probably.
used.
Some of the other content creators they're getting their copies, and I'm like, no. I'm gonna go rob their house.
Oh, Chris.
I mean, he'll give it back.
When he gets his copy.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
So we talked about Zombicide Green Horde, but Philip, do you ever want a zombie apocalypse game that'll fit in your pocket?
Is that a rhetorical question?
Because right now on Kickstarter, you could back Tiny Epic Zombies
Oh,
from
yeah, I saw
Gamelin
that.
Games. The game features 4 what they're calling item meeples, which can actually,
Or they can hold things.
yeah, they can hold things like little weapon tokens and even ride, car, and motorcycle tokens. Because nothing says survival horror like playing with your meeples like they're action figures. Oh, geez. That's
Sorry.
one of those, like, are we making Tiny Epic everything?
Yes, they are.
What about Tiny Epic Western? Oh, wait, that happened.
It
Yeah.
did. It's probably the only Tiny Epic game I want to play.
I
I'm
have
uninterested
played it.
because it's mainly poker.
Oh, never mind then.
I have played it, and yeah. But lastly,
I have news.
Green Ronin has announced that its upcoming The Expanse RPG will release at Gen Con this year. It's based on the successful book and TV series. It's a space opera setting that will use Green Ronin's age system, their adventure game engine system. Are you guys playing Flick 'em Up like during the podcast?
The cat's playing with his little circle ball toy. He's like 30 feet away.
It looks like it sounds the same as like us playing Flick 'em Up. That's why I'm like,
I know.
they're like,
He's
quick, we
crazy.
turn the camera off. Go grab Flick 'em Up.
No, the cat's crazy. Sorry.
Colin's like, I need a Western game stat. So speaking of games releasing at Gen Con, I just want to mention also releasing this game at Gen Con, every other RPG product known to man, hundreds of board games, and a ton of questionable life choices into the Steak and Shake toilet at 2 a.m.
Ew. So I actually have a news.
Oh?
Yeah. So yesterday I was on Instagram and I see this video and I'm like, what the heck is this? And they announced a new Forbidden game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Forbidden Sky. And so it's like takes place in the sky. I don't know how it's gonna be. The box and the video kind of looks very steampunk.
Is it by Rob Davio again?
It's Matt
Matt
Leacock.
Or Matt Leacock, yes.
Yeah, but I love it because the tagline, and I don't know how much information is out there about this yet because I can't find anything, but it's an electrifying new cooperative game from Matt Leacock.
Nice.
And I mean, because like the video is all like thunder and lightning. And
Can you survive the storm?
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, because each game has got, I mean, like, Forbidden Island was basically Pandemic. And then
Simplified, yeah.
Forbidden Desert was actually really good. It's definitely my
I never
favorite.
played it though.
I have
still
it.
haven't played it.
Yeah, I would
You're
like,
the one. I was like, I know someone that has
Yeah,
it.
I have it.
yeah, I want to try it.
It's right there. It's actually like within arm's reach.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Forbidden Island was a good game. It was just because we had played Pandemic first.
Yeah.
I think it was too simple for us.
Yeah, I played it a lot
So-
because it was around when Chloe and I started playing games together, and she was young, so it was a good introductory game for her. But yeah, so by the way, anytime you do see that, you need to let me know, and I'll put them in the notes and make funny quips about them.
Yeah. Well, I just found out. Well, I guess yesterday I saw the video, and then Colin
I saw it today.
he saw it today. So I was
Gotcha.
like, yeah.
Well, you're new.
I don't know.
You were looking at the news sooner I did because I made this up like today.
This is true. But yeah, so I was pretty excited when I heard that announcement. Oh my god.
So, how's it going?
It's good. We lost signal for like a half second,
Oh, okay.
so I don't know if there's a lag now.
Nah. Well, I'll go ahead and talk about the one game that I've played that's new, because most of the stuff I've been playing is like old stuff.
Okay.
I managed to get Scythe to the table again, which was amazing. Except for I can't play the expansions because I keep teaching the game, and I don't want to
Oh,
throw the
yeah.
expansion in while I'm teaching the game.
Who'd you teach it to?
Our local, our D&D group.
Oh, awesome.
You just say, "I'm sorry, guys. You're gonna have to take the bullet. I need to play this."
Although I did play with some of the first expansion because we were playing with like 6 people, so I needed the extra
Oh, the
Yeah,
invaders.
yeah.
the extra factions, and so there were some new mechanics in there that were interesting. But the big game I got to play prior to that is Illmat.
What's that?
It was a game that it's a small indie
It's
game.
a little piece of carpet that you get sick on.
Yeah.
Mat.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
I actually, Philip, you joke, but everyone was like, Illmat. And I'm like, yeah, it's the sequel to Wellmat. Like, everybody got it except for the one person that works in a hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, come on. But the game is it's really simple. It's like it's a card set collection game. You could almost play this with a regular deck of cards, and I don't know how I feel about it yet because it's very weird. So the game it's basically got like a handkerchief that you lay out as a mat, and it splits the board into 4 quadrants. And the game plays up to 4, and around the edge of the board is like numbering. Each side is numbered 0 to 10, so like each person's got basically a scoreboard in front of them, and you play different hands round and round. We only played one hand, which may be part of the reason, but it's split into. There's a board that there's a little raised, like the box basically sits on the handkerchief looking thing and splits and labels the split areas into spring, summer, fall, and winter, all the different seasons. And then you lay out all these 3 cards in every one. And the basic goal is you play cards, and you can do one of a couple of things with these cards. Like you can add card to a field is what these sections are called, or you may be able to remove cards from the field or prevent cards from being moved. It's a little hard to explain, but basically the idea is you're wanting to try and clear all the fields, getting certain sets of these cards without getting other sets of these cards. And at the end of the game, you tally up and based on a certain number of points. It's like if you get think in a deck of cards, it would be like getting when was it hearts? You don't want hearts. Is that
yeah?
Oh yeah.
It would imagine if like you got negative points for all the hearts that you got, and you got like positive points for all the face cards you got, kind of in a game of hearts.
Okay. Yeah.
So it kind of scores like that. And then you tally it up, move your points up, and then just keep playing, I guess, until somebody gets a 10. But there were a couple of rules that they explained them like multiple times, but something between the way they explain it and the little cheat card, I don't think it was worded right, or I was just not getting it. I feel like I need to watch a video or read the rules myself, because there was like one option, it was not clicking with me. Like, I'm like, why would I do this? Like, I don't understand what this is being used for. And it also was very, because you, instead of like a game of hearts where you have all your cards in front of you, you only have 4, so you get dealt 4 cards, and then you use one of those cards, and then you get dealt another one. And I was just getting terrible cards like every time, like, because the way that you get cards is one of the things you do is you play a card. Like if I play a 9, then I can acquire any number of cards that add up to that 9. So like if I play a card in the winter section, I could grab a 4 and a 5, or I could grab an 8 and a 1, or I could grab a 2, 2, and 5 because they all add up to 9. But like I was getting cards that wouldn't add up to, or like the stuff out, like it's like there's a 10 and a 3, and I have a 5. It's like I can't grab cards in any way. So I don't know. It's one of those, like, we only played one round because it was kind of, we were playing it while we were waiting for people to get there for Scythe. So I don't know. It's a small game. It was something that, it's a game, I believe, it's by Together Studios. Keith Baker, who has done a bunch of other games, specifically RPG type stuff, which is how we got into it, because a friend of mine liked his work, and they knew that he was going to be at PAX, and I actually picked it up for them at PAX. So this was my chance to actually... Yeah. So it was one of those smaller booths at PAX, and that's where I picked it up, took it to them. So I need to give this a more time before I make a final judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
anyway,
We've actually played a lot of new games recently.
Yeah.
New to us anyway. Like we bought Flip Ships a little while ago.
I keep hearing about that.
Oh my gosh, it's not a flicking game; it's a flipping game,
Right.
and
It's a flicking game,
well,
but it's cooperative.
Now, when I'm thinking this, I'm thinking like, you remember when you played paper football and it would be on the corner and you like flick it up kind of thing to get it
it's
back on the
kinda like
table?
that. You have a little block that sits on the table, and you stick your little ship chit. That sounds really bad. You stick your
Gosh,
ship,
Cindy.
Chip.
your ship token
There you go.
Here we go.
on this little wooden block, and you have to flick it up off of the block, and it has to go a certain distance for it to count. But you have like the enemy ships, which are cards, and they're you're trying to get your spaceship onto the enemy ships, and then eventually you have to get them into this cardboard box of sorts that's called the mothership, and to defeat the mothership. And after like your round is over, all of the enemy ships move closer towards you and attack based on the number on their card. And so it's actually kind of what?
Yeah, exactly. It's like Space Invaders or
Kinda,
Galaga.
yeah. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun, but it's very hard. Like I was doing terrible at first, and Colin was really good, and then I got really good, and he got terrible. It was kind of funny, but it's neat because like you'll have special abilities. Each game you play, like you just randomly draw out some special abilities, and it's really cool because like mine were really good for in-game play, like for attacking the enemy ships, and Colin's ability was really good for attacking the mothership. And so it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that a lot. I've been really wanting to play it again. We played two times in a row, and then we haven't played it since. And I'm like, I want to play again.
Yeah. But yeah, unlike normal flicking games, it's you're not just like trying to go straight across the table. You're lobbing
Yeah,
it.
you're trying to make it go up and
Because in order to count, it has to flip at least once.
Oh.
Okay.
yeah.
So what's the
this is-
tokens like that you're flipping? Like, are
They're
they
like cardboard.
They're the standard cardboard, like
Standard cardboard.
1.5 millimeter
Okay.
thickness.
So I mean, it's a decent. It's not.
It's like I'd say it's about the size of a $50.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like it won't hurt your finger necessarily unless you hit the block.
Oh yeah, and you don't have to use the block. It's just it's meant to be flipped off the edge of the table. But if your table doesn't have a straight edge, that's what the block is for. Or you can use the block either way.
And since we have an oval table, we use the block.
Gotcha. What up,
So,
Philip?
yeah.
Does this interest you at all? Because you're the one that's like, I'm not so much a flicking kind of games person.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'd have to. This one's. I'd give it a try.
Okay.
Yeah, it's full co-op. So
You'll give everything a try at least once.
I mean, not everything. Whoa.
Hey, this game's got farming in it.
Whatever.
sign me up.
Have Western farming in it?
Oh God,
Hey, I have one of those.
Western farming with wooden dice.
We do have one
Yeah,
of those.
Walnut
actually.
Grove.
Run away. Hey, I actually like that game,
Yeah.
or we'll tolerate it.
Boom.
Yeah. That's true. You did.
All right. What? So I will. Well, next, I will say the one thing that I have been doing is
Mhm.
strangely, Ashley's gotten a bug to play digital apps with me again.
Oh, cool.
It used to be like we for a while there, especially Catan. We loved to do Catan on the app, and like Carcassonne and some of those other like the app things, and we've had them forever. But just randomly, she was like, "I want to play a board game," and I just like,
What?
and then she's like, "I want to play an app." I'm like, "Okay, it's fine." It's like, "Can we play Catan?" I'm like, "I don't care. You're playing a game. I don't care."
Yeah.
But by the way, is it wrong?
What if she had wanted to play Carson City?
Oh. See, she wouldn't because that game's probably too complex for her.
Mm.
Not saying that she wouldn't. I'm just saying it's not the kind of game that she enjoys.
Yeah. She doesn't like thinking in that way.
Yeah, the gaming is her, like,
Gaming is an escape.
I want to take my brain and put it on the shelf and not
Yeah.
think about stuff for a while. But I think
Now,
one of the games that we've wanted, or she's wanted to play for a while, and in fact, that's We watched a review years ago of Terra Mystica,
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
and that's why I bought the game. But she hasn't tried the game, but we do have the app, so I want to try and get her to try out the app. But it's just another one of those. She's not in a mindset to learn a game.
Gotcha.
I get like that.
And
And-
you said that one doesn't have a tutorial.
It does, I think. The app does, I think.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you said like you just had to learn by playing it.
I think
Maybe
I
I'm thinking of a
skipped the
different app.
I think I skipped the tutorial.
Okay.
I think that's what it was. But we've also been playing the Splendor app
Oh yeah, yeah.
because
I
that's
like
another
that.
like really easy. And now having played the expansions, I'm like, now I want the expansions in the app. Like really badly.
That's funny.
Yeah. But I do have so I have one game that's almost up to 10 on my 10 by 10.
Sweet.
Did you say tweet? I mean, all right.
Sweet.
I'll tweet it. All right, Colin, tell us another
What
game.
does mine say?
Well,
Dude, what does mine say?
Sweet. Yeah, we got to try out Spirit Island.
Oh,
Yeah. So Spirit Island, it's a co-op game. One of the more complex ones that we've played, actually.
Yeah.
But everyone is representing a spirit on this island, hence the name. And so basically, these pilgrims or colonists, or I forget what they're
I think
called.
they call them colonists.
and it's
Colonists
by
are
Upper
coming
Deck,
in-
right?
Yeah, I think.
I don't think so.
Oh, maybe not. I don't know what I'm talking about.
There's barely any cards in this game. But anyway, they are these colonists are coming in and trying to colonize your island. They're trying to build up their stuff, and so they're tearing down your forests and stuff like that. And so you want to basically scare them off the island, with the help of the locals. And each person, like in a true co-op
Greater
fashion,
than
each
games.
person has their own special ability.
Oh, you just looked it up, Philip.
What was it? Greater than games.
Greater than
Greater
games.
than games.
Oh,
I was
okay.
just about to look it up too.
But yeah, each person has their own special ability, but they're like kind of complex abilities. Like there's like multiple layers to each ability. Like if you play a certain amount of cards on your turn that have differing symbols, like you'll unlock one of your special abilities for that turn. And you have like some innate ability also. And whether your ability is a fast action or a slow action, there's multiple layers.
So
And
what'd you?
Cindy played it too, so she can talk too.
So what'd
yeah,
you?
it was actually. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, what'd you think of it?
It was a pretty good game. I would like to try it again.
Yeah, I became enamored with it toward the end of the game.
There's just so much going on that it takes a while. There's a definite learning curve. And so I felt like it was very slow to begin with. And then once we got more into the game and Colin and I knew better what we were doing, it was like, oh, okay, now these actions are going to make, like, I don't necessarily have to completely ask everybody, like, because the other two people we were playing with, they'd played several times. And so they knew the game fairly well. And I just felt like I was constantly being like, do you think that this is a good move? Should I do this or what? But later towards the end, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this because this is going to work with this, and it's going to get these guys gone, and the Hans are going to help us here. And yeah.
That's
It was
the
fun.
tribal people.
Oh yeah, the tribal people
The
are the
Hans.
Hans. I kept calling them Jins because that's a term from Five Tribes. And I couldn't remember the name Dahan, apparently. And somebody's like, or the guy Matt we were playing with, he's like, did you just say Jin? And I'm like, no, Jin. And he's like, they're Dahans. What? I didn't even realize I was saying the wrong
And she hadn't
thing.
even seen the word. She was
I
just
hadn't.
mixing up signals.
I really was. It was
Wow.
funny. Anyway, but yeah, it was I definitely want to try it again and see what it's like now that I know how to play.
That's kind of. It's funny that you bring that up because that was also the impression that when I taught Scythe to my friends, it's the same thing. And it's every time I've taught Scythe, it's one of those you have to like. And I had walked them through a couple of them had played in the live stream. We played like about an hour of it, and then it was one of those. It's like you have to play like a full game before you go. okay, now I understand what's going on. And it kind of
Yeah.
sucks because, like, there was one, like, a lot of my friends by the end, they're like, yeah, now I really want to play it now that I get the idea. But there's like one or two of them I could tell these people are never going to want to play Scythe ever again.
Aw.
And it's just
Yeah.
like because they were just so lost in the first game. So that's why
Okay.
I keep talking about Diced. And I really hope, because Scythe is one of the things they talked about getting on Diced, and I really want to see what they do with it and
Oh, yeah.
how they teach the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been kind of a bummer recently. Or whenever I teach Scythe to people, I just need to go around just teaching Scythe to everybody so that
Mhm.
everyone knows how to play.
Yeah. Yeah,
Speaking of
we
which,
also...
there's the digital version coming out soon, and I'm kind of
Oh,
hyped
that's
for that.
nice. That's nice. Yeah, one other new game we got to try was Mysterium.
New to you.
Yeah, new to
Well,
us.
yeah, that's why I said new to us. Yeah. So I'd never played it before, and I've obviously heard good things about it, but it was actually pretty neat. I would love to play it again, and I think it would be really cool to be the ghost.
So-
I'm like, I want to be the ghost so bad.
So Philip, a little backstory for you. Do you remember the first time that we went to Gen Con and one of the guys that we met up at we kept running into him like every single Gen Con? He was the guy that brought the Irish whiskey.
Yes, bless that man.
And we
Every
got
single
caught
time.
drinking it illegally in the hotel bar
Oh
After we
no!
had already like
after we had
emptied the
already drunk like half the bottle.
bottle. No,
But
the bottle was completely empty. They're like, you can't drink that here, so we just all like slammed it back. Like, okay, we won't anymore.
so, do you remember there was one game that he was like running to get every day, but he couldn't get, like, it was selling out as soon as the
Yeah,
doors
they
open?
sold out like 100 copies that they had or whatever.
Yeah, that was Mysterium.
Okay.
That
yeah,
that was the American reprint of Mysterium.
Mysterium.
Yeah. So Philip, basically what the game is it's a cooperative game again. One player acts as a ghost. They've
been murdered.
Yeah, they've been murdered. And they're trying to direct the rest of their team to find the murderer. And
Oh.
so each
And the weapon and the location.
Yes, exactly. So each
So it's
round it is actually.
It's
but
like
it's
Clue,
a-
but better.
It's like
better.
imagine Dixit and
And-
Clue put into a blender.
Yes, exactly. And so, like, you have cards that have different suspects, then you have different locations and different weapons, and the ghost knows, like, which of each of these things go with which person that's playing, and he has to find a picture card, and they're the most obscure pictures ever. Like, it's
Oh,
just
okay.
random.
They're like dream things. They're like Dixit
Yeah,
cards.
it's like Dixit cards if you've ever played Dixit.
Pretty.
It's very
I thought
very
you.
random.
I think.
What?
I thought Philip, you had played Dixit, where there's the random cards and you say a clue and try and bet on what card it is. I thought we
No, I
played it.
Skyfall.
Huh?
Anyway, so it's like kind of dream
As you
illustrations.
look down at the soundboard, is it on there?
No, it's not.
Ah.
Yeah. So they're like
Hey, are you
the
pooping?
illustrations are like a dream, and it's bizarre things that don't often like go together. And so the ghost will then hand each player a picture card, trying to lead them to either the suspect, the location, or the weapon that they're matched up with. And so it's kind of cool, and you have to kind of deduce as a team who the ghost is trying to connect you with, or which things the ghost is trying to connect you with. And once everybody has found their suspect, location, and weapon, then the ghost finds out who the actual murderer is, and then he has to try and direct the whole group to figure out which of the combinations is the correct one to win the game.
Gotcha.
So it's really interesting. And I'm like, I wish I had played this sooner because I really like this game.
Yeah, I have zero interest in playing Mysterium.
Really?
It's one of those games that just over the years I have not played, and I have no desire. Just every time someone describes it to me, I'm like, that sounds terrible.
Well, the funny thing is, Chris, I had no desire to play it either. And then we were at a game night with a family, and the kids really wanted to play it. And so, Colin and I are like, okay, sure, let's try it out. And I really enjoyed it. It was much better than I was expecting it to be.
Oh, I'm sure that I'm sure that it'll probably end up being something like the same way but just like you will never hear me go, "Oh, hey, let's play Mysterium." It'll
Right,
be
no,
one
I
of those everybody else at the table wants to play, and it'll be like, "All right, I guess."
I guess I'll learn it.
Yeah, that's kind of the boat I'm gonna be in.
Yeah. Oh, I don't blame you.
Play on my app.
Are you guys done
Yeah.
yet?
Sure.
Yeah, we can be done.
No, that was
Whatever you want.
that was
That was.
Oh.
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 There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It just got really bright in their basement.
yeah, I know.
Really?
It's like I'm like the same color as the wall.
Oh, in his basement. I'm like,
Yeah,
you
they can't
can't
see
see
us.
our basement.
Yeah.
What are you
like my
talking
hand
about?
disappears.
It does. Why did it get so?
I
Whatever,
don't
it
know
doesn't matter.
why it's like whitewashed out down here.
It does not matter. Whatever.
You should go outside more often.
Apparently. Shut up. Hey, the gym that's opening up does like free tanning when you buy it.
Wait. Oh my. Because that's what every board gamer needs. A tan.
Yeah. I need them
That's it,
I need
yeah,
them
everybody
vitamin
gets
D
tan, yeah.
somehow.
That's funny.
All right, what else you got? Give me one
Oh,
more.
You want more?
Give
You
me-
want more?
Give me another one.
We got. All right.
We want the truth.
Well, we got Sagrada actually.
Wait. I thought you already had Sagrada.
Yeah, I thought you had that.
No.
No, we just recently got it.
Okay. For some reason I thought you you played it at Dice
We
Tower
played it
Con.
at Dice
Yeah,
Tower
we
Con.
tried it
Okay.
out at Dice Tower Con. So it's not necessarily new to us, but it's new to our collection. And I got to try it solo the other day, and I actually really enjoyed the solo game.
Okay, so so Philip, remember, Sagrada is the game that Role Player is a better version of.
Ah, okay.
It's also an uglier version of Sagrada.
Sagrada is beautiful.
So that's the one thing. I wish we could mash them together. Have the player with the prettiness of
Yeah.
Sagrada.
Well, the dice.
But-
You want
Yes.
the pearlescent dice so instead of the matte finished dice.
Yeah.
I gotcha. I'm down for that.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because like our friend, actually, you know him, our friend Jeremy.
Hmm.
He came over one day because we were practicing music for something, and as he was leaving, he brought up Sagrada. He goes, "What do you guys think of Sagrada?" And we're like, "Oh, it's a good game. I would be interested in having it." And when he's talking to us about, or we're just going on about the game, and he. Sorry, Philip looks puzzled.
No, I think you realized something.
So
Okay.
you know how at PAX they always do the live D&D game?
Uh
Yeah.
They need to have like an hour segment right before that where they play role player.
huh.
and you take care-
But they do the same characters. That wasn't work. Anyways,
Well, then you need to, like kill
Anyway,
these guys off and then start a new game.
so we're talking with Jeremy about Sagrada, and he goes, "So High Tide has 2 copies right now for what was like $36 or something, and it's not in print. It's
Oh, wow.
in between print runs right now." And we're like, he's like, "Would you like me to pick you up a copy? Because I think I'm gonna go back and get one for myself." And we're like, yes, please."
that's like 36 is a pretty good price on it, isn't it?
Yeah, considering it was like $50 or something on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I don't. Is it even in Cool Stuff?
No.
It's not even in stock at Cool Stuff. So I'm like, this is awesome. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and they're coming out with an expansion for it this summer, so I don't know what's going to be in that.
That just reminds me, I need to try. I'm curious about the expansion of Role Player. Sorry, every
Oh,
time
yeah.
you say Sagrada, I just think Role Player.
Understandable.
I understand. It sounds the same.
Well,
But
But yeah, the solo play is pretty good, actually. It's oh yeah, there's the dice.
I
Uh,
show them to you, but
I think the solo is actually a little bit more thinky than the multiplayer because you have a lot more stuff to think about.
right.
yeah. One of our games we played the other night, I apparently misinterpreted a roll card, or not a roll card, a tool card, and the tool cards are what allow you to like do special things with your dice. So you can ignore, like, because on the card that you're using to place your dice in, because you're trying to emulate a stained glass window, they have like number and color restrictions. And so, like, if this spot requires a 3, you have to put a 3 there, and this spot requires a red, you have to put a red there. But some of these tools will let you ignore those placement rules. Well, I misinterpreted that as I could, because you're not allowed to put the same number or the same color next to each other, orthogonally next to each other. And I misinterpreted one of the things, and so I had 2 5s next to each other, and I posted it on Instagram. And someone decided that it was a good idea to point that out to me, that I messed it up. I was like, thanks a lot. So, have to be careful about interpreting the tool cards.
I feel like you should block that person.
No, I mean, to be honest, whenever I see a game that has some sort of like placement rules or something on Instagram, I'm like looking for
You're drawn
errors.
to it.
You are.
It's like a car.
Yeah, you're
You
drawn.
want to look away, but you can't.
It's like, okay, where did they mess up? Do they have any mistakes? Can I point? I don't often.
Carcassonne posts are, they draw me in.
Oh yeah, I rarely will mention that somebody has placed something illegally because I'm just not like that. But it was so.
Unless she's losing.
It was embarrassing.
Unless
It
she's
was
losing, then it's like that's wrong.
Well, no, in a live game, I would, but I'm saying like on a picture on social media, I don't
Gotcha.
point things out on social media like that.
I got you.
And so it was actually kind of embarrassing for me. I'm like, dude, that's sad.
But hey, I want to put a feeler out there to the listeners. If you've done this, let us know.
Oh yeah. Wait, if
you've like looked for errors in people's Instagram and Twitter posts and stuff like that with their game pictures.
Oh yeah.
No, because I don't look at
Specifically
people's
with
pictures
gaming.
too much. I just like, oh, cool, there's a game. Like,
Well, I
Well,
want to know.
But we want to know if people are like us and they're judging other people.
so are you
Make us feel better.
judgmental
We're
or
the
not?
We judge you mentally.
Yes. You know who? Speaking of judgment, do we need to get into the story? So I tweeted about this briefly. The story about how I got accused that I know nothing about D&D.
Oh, sure. I'd love to hear that.
Oh, I know what this
Phil
is.
Phil knows the story.
I know what this is.
I'm gonna
Does
leave-
it happen to do with the post on Facebook?
It does happen to do with a post on Facebook.
Yeah, I know exactly what.
And
this
I'm
is.
gonna leave all particulars out. All I'm gonna say, I posted. It all started last week. I posted up my review of Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which is the latest source book for D&D 5th edition. Now, because I'm always trying to try different things to get views, I decided to do a very clickbaity title for
Yes.
said review, and I titled the video "Has D&D 5th edition lost its flavor?"
And your
and-
opinion was?
And my opinion, regardless, it was just a title to go like what, and then get you to click. You know, they
Right. No, I understand that. But
And-
I'm asking, what was your opinion?
my opinion. Well, if you watch the video, I was just
You'll know.
I made it sound like it, but I liked the book. I still like D&D. I've never said anything bad ever.
Right.
about-
Exactly.
Ever. I've never said anything bad about D&D. And but I started
you
the
still play regularly, for crying out loud.
well
You play RPG
regularly. You should see our Slack scheduling
He
channel. For,
regularly plays when he's regularly playing.
yeah.
but you know what I mean. It's not
But-
like you're. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the other that I start off the video by like trying to make it sound like, has this ever happened to you? Kind of videos, like you're as
Yeah.
seen on TV. I was just trying to.
I love those.
I was just trying to be hilarious. Like, did anybody here actually watch the video?
Not
Oh.
yet.
Of course.
Dude, it's about RPGs.
I'll take a peek now that you're telling me this stuff, though.
You should take a peek only because you get to see me try and eat a D&D book.
Wait, what? I gotta watch
What
it.
is it
now,
like
too.
between two pieces of bread?
No.
Oh, my sandwich it's too big.
No, well,
I gotta watch
you're
that.
close. You're close.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, I was just trying to do my weird, quirky humor, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
And
it's you.
so I post about it on Facebook, and I'm trying to like get people. And somebody mentions on there that's like, I know all these people that play a da 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 da. I've never seen you play D&D, so I don't think you can even say that D&D's lost its flavor because I know it's true, and I'd like to support your stuff more, but you seem to be hating on a lot of products and stuff. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, it's just a title. Like, have you? First thing I was like, have you watched?
Did they watch the video?
I was like, have you watched the video? Because, like, I do weird stuff like that all the time. In fact, when I even mentioned, when I send links to companies, I usually have to send the caveat of, don't look at the title, I liked it. Because, like, I'll do reviews of their products that says 1-star reviews of Starfinder. I'm not saying I hate Starfinder. I'm just trying to make a funny video. But, and so they're like, no, I couldn't get past the title. And I'm like, and like, if I shared this video, then everybody would assume that I was hating on D&D, and then it just divulged even further. And I was like, honestly, I was in my I never said this, but in my head, I'm like, it started this conversation, didn't it? Because if I had just put it Xanathar's Guide to Everything review, we wouldn't be having this conversation, and you probably would have just passed on by. Yeah. So I got your attention, so gotcha. It's working.
Got him.
I even read a little farther. Like,
Got him.
It also put a little bit of the description. Like, you kept going with the food analogy a little farther in the description, too.
Yeah. Only like the first sentence. Yeah. Like the first sentence was just like, has your D&D game gotten stale?
Yeah.
But it was like, ultimately I was like, if it was not worth you, well, they're like, yeah, but I really like to reshare your stuff. I'm like, if it wasn't worth you watching it, I really don't want you sharing it. I don't want you sharing stuff that you personally don't find interesting.
Right, because it's not going to be a good promotion.
Yeah. I only want you to be like, ha, this is funny. Follow, like forward it and be like, this is funny. Check this out.
Right.
And then somebody else, another one of our friends posted is like, well, can you just like make one that does it with where you take the intro bit out and make it? I'm like, no, I spent forever working. I didn't respond to that. At that point, I just let it go as I now talk about it onto a podcast. But at that point, I was just kind of like, I'm like, no, I made this video. I spent all this time and effort into there. I'm not changing it. Just to the one person.
This ain't Kickstarter.
Yeah. What do you think this is? Hate?
If this was Kickstarter, Chris would have started out the video.
Yo. Oh my god. Oh my god. oh my. So speaking.
D&D game gotten stale.
No.
Speaking of hate, have you guys seen the Kickstarter?
What?
So
I caught a glimpse.
Simon has a Kickstarter. Simon has a Kickstarter going on right now called Hate, and it's about a very dark and gritty world. Like the game revolves around you killing people, taking them back to a furnace, burning their bodies, and like eating them.
Ew.
Like that's the like it.
Ew.
The game is utterly morbid.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Why?
It's an IP apparently. I didn't know this was a comic, but apparently it is. But, like, the video, like, I'm not opposed to graphic nonsense, but even I shut the video off after, like, a minute. Not because of anything they showed, like, graphically, but just because it was like they had a 13-year-old write, like, it's like someone handed the script to a 13-year-old and said, by the way, you get to write the script, and oh, by the way, your parents are never going to see this, so you could put every cuss word you've ever wanted to say in there.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that.
So it's like, blah, 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 and this world's gone to beep, and he's like, and there's no beep, and just like, it's just out the wazoo of like,
that's awful.
It's so, but, I will say, so, because of that, somebody forwarded me a link to a Reddit thread that's going on right now where it's completely non-safe for work, all right? I'm going to put it in the show notes to this video, but I'm going to tag it and make sure you know it's not safe for work. It is completely crude and completely ridiculous, but they take regular board games and describe them in the style of the Hate video, and it's hilarious. Like they're talking about like Splendor and talking about like Patchwork. The Patchwork one was one of my favorite. Like, are you ready to make a effing quilt?
Oh my god.
And then what's funny is, so you heard us talk about our friend Richmond that's in the chat room. He took it a step forward. He laughed so hard at some of these people's things that he's got like a very deep voice. He does. I don't know if he actually does radio, but I know he works with the radio network. And he recorded voiceover that sounds almost identical to the CMON and did like a little bit of background music. Philip, I'm gonna have to play this for you later.
Okay.
But it's hilarious. And he should, because after I linked it, Richmond talked to me on Twitter, was like, here's the and he's probably gonna get mad that I'm talking about this. Because I don't know if he wanted anyone to know he was a part of it. But it's hilarious. I may cut this out of the actual podcast, but all right, Kitty. Hey, Kitty. Anyways, sorry. Just I mentioned hate, and it reminded me about that Reddit link. It was hilarious. So,
Okay.
anything else before we go into games? To our featured stuff.
No. Our featured stuff being our top things. Top
Yes.
50? Okay.
Our bottom 10 games. Not really.
Cool.
All right. So with that, it is time. We are counting down to episode 100 where we reveal our top games of all time. And so today we are starting with numbers 41 through 50.
You mean 50 to 41?
Whatever. And so Philip's not really played 50 games. We don't know yet. So
he probably has. He just doesn't remember them all.
Maybe in my life.
So Colin, Cindy, and I will be doing our list, and Philip will be commenting on if he's played the game or not.
Like normal.
Yeah.
But we did
he's got
talk
a
about
number 50 there.
we did talk about it in the chat room, and I don't know if Philip saw this or not. I kind of want to have a goal for this. I want by the end of this year you to have played 50 of the top 200 on Board Game Geek.
Jeez.
We have the technology.
We have some of them you've already
at least
played.
50 games.
Like
Yeah,
Blood
that's true.
Rage is
Probably already played, yeah.
Blood Rage is on there, so we're not like saying you have to replay it. But that way,
I
like
mean, but it was a good game.
Well, yes, we can replay them.
I know,
Right.
we can replay them, but I'm saying we need to make
I'm okay with
we need
that.
to make that our goal this year. Is we need to go through that list and like make sure you've played a lot of those, so that when
All right.
somebody mentions it, you're like, oh yeah, I've played Spyfall. All right, Cindy, you want to start us out with your number 50?
My number 50 is Harvest from Tasty Minstrel Games.
Ooh, a new game.
Yep. I really like it, guys. I know we reviewed it on the podcast a few episodes ago.
That was
but-
last episode, I think. No, it was 2.
No,
No, it was
like
the end,
2
it was
ago.
the two end of year one.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a really good game, and I mean, for it to hit 50 in my list after I made this list on December 7th, and I'd only played it I'd just gotten it like 2 weeks prior.
Gotcha.
So I mean, it's a really good game, guys.
Mm.
I really like Harvest a lot.
Yeah, I like it too.
All right. So, Colin, what about you?
I have no opinion on it.
So actually, my number 50 is another new game. It's Spirit Island.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
right.
So you must have like
Yeah.
just made your list.
He did.
Yeah,
I didn't redo mine.
So yeah, only one play of it, but like I said, I became really enamored with this game in the second half of the game, and yeah, I'm really curious to try this one even solo. Like the wife of the husband-wife team that we were playing with was saying that she could see herself playing the game like 100 times, that kind of thing. So like, yeah, I get that.
Okay. Well,
So, yeah, Spirit Island.
I will before I go into my 50, I will say I made my list back at the beginning of November and I haven't adjusted since. B, my gaming tastes vary all the freaking time. So like if I made this list now, it'd be completely different. So like some games I play that aren't on this list, like Mansions of Madness, not gonna be on this list. You know, some games like I know are going to be on here, but they're not. Some of these games I may have only played once and it just like when I did the whole rating system of like you hold 2 games on which one but I was going purely on instinct and just base reactions, because if I thought about it too much, I was gonna think, and I just did purely selecting like boom this game, boom that game, and then just saw where everything ended up placing out.
Yeah, I made mine December 7th, and some of my games I've only actually played once, Chris, as well. So you're not alone there.
Yeah, like
it's
there's
just because some games just leave a great impression.
Yeah,
you know?
I will say though I changed my number 1 only because it was the number 1.
Oh yeah.
And it was only I just edited the 2. When we get there, it'll understand. But basically, I swapped number 1 and number 2.
Right.
But I will say that yeah, like if I there's even games on the list currently that would have moved up higher or lower just based on plays in the past month or so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I have some that would be different too. I just didn't feel like taking the time to remake my list. Like Colin.
I redid mine yesterday.
So my number 50 is actually also a game I talked about in this episode.
What?
And that is Splendor.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, okay.
Science got to be higher.
Huh?
I was like, science has got to be higher.
Yeah, I was concerned about that too.
Yeah. So Splendor's my number, and purely just because 2 things. Components. The chips are just so awesome, and they just sound great when you're like dropping them onto like a stack and just clink.
They do sound nice.
Clickety clack.
Yeah. And B, the second thing is just how quick it is. It's just like boom, I do an action, then you do an action, then boom, boom, boom. Like Philip, I don't think you played Splendor, but you remember Century Spice Road? How quick that was.
I played Splendor.
Oh, you played Splendor?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I couldn't remember if you had.
Cards with the gems and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you think of
Played
Splendor?
that in Orlando.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 50. So
Cool.
so far we got one. Actually, let's see. There's probably 1, 2, 3, 4. At least half my list you've played in this 41 through 50. Half of these games I know
Okay.
you've played.
That's cool.
All right,
Is
so
Pandemic Legacy down there at the bottom?
not on 40. I don't know if Legacy made it on my list purely because that's a hard game to rank.
Yeah.
Because I'm never gonna play it again.
That's
No.
true.
I played it twice.
And that's the other thing, is I have no desire to play that game again. Just because like story's packaged up and done. we
Well,
read
that's
through,
Right.
we read through all the cards.
That's right. We did read through all the cards.
All right. Do you want to keep going same order? Do you want to reverse? Do we want to switch things up? How do we want to do this?
I'll take it,
Okay.
and then we'll see what happens from
All right.
there.
Number 49. Do funny.
49 for me, yeah, is a game called Tuluva.
I've never heard of this game.
Yeah, it's. I guess you could call it an abstract game, but you're taking turns. It's you're building up this island and trying to put different levels of like houses, temples, and you're trying to offload 2 out of the 3 onto this grid, or basically just have them out of your supply and you win. But they have like different restrictions on each different one on how they can be placed. And so that's the whole trick of the game. So it was really nice. And we were taught by our friend Steph.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Cindy's played this too?
I have, and
Yeah.
I won inadvertently because Steph forgot that.
I was given bad advice.
Well, no, she.
You
she
thought you
forgot-
won the game, but somebody was like, no, this is actually what you have to do. And then
No,
everybody
she
decided to keep you from getting that?
No, she forgot what the win condition was. She thought that it was placing all of one, like temples or something, and it was really placing all of your something, your other thing. I forget what they're called, but
That's 2 out of the 3 that you need.
whatever. I don't know. But anyway, I ended up winning. And we were literally tallying up the game, and she's like, "Oh, Colin, you won!" And then we look and she's like, no, wait a second, hold on. I read the rules or I remember the rules wrong, and Cindy's actually won.
No, I was sorry. I was referring to Philip, our game of The World is Smog.
Yes.
The on Her
That was-
Majesty's Secret Service or whatever.
It was like you were right there, and you're like, haha, I win, and I was like,
No, the guy was like,
No.
well, actually, you have to use an action to do that. I'm like, well, you didn't tell me
Yeah.
that. And now
Yeah,
everybody
so
knows
as
what I
you're-
have.
as you popped all your actions, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Anyway,
Tuluva.
okay. All right, Cindy, what about you?
Mine 49 is Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Ah, a game I've
Jamaica.
heard of, but I haven't played.
So everybody's pirates, and you are sailing around. You're sailing around this. I don't know if it's an island or not. I don't think it's an island.
It's the
necessarily.
island. Yeah, island.
Oh, okay. And you're trying to make it back. You're trying to make it back to Port Royal, and the first person back to Port Royal triggers end game. And as you're going around, you roll dice, and everybody has to use the same 2 dice values, and you kind of a card selection game. Like you have a hand of 3 cards, and you can pick which card you want to play, and you'll get resources or movement opportunities based on day or night actions and what dice are rolled and the number values and things. I don't know. It's really cool. It takes a lot of planning. I mean, it's not a lot of planning. It's a fairly simple game, but it's
Yeah, we taught it to family.
yeah, and I just think it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it a lot.
This is on that list of games I definitely need to play and have some desire to play. I just haven't gotten around to.
Well, we own it, so anytime.
But it's another one
Yeah.
of those, the box art just doesn't jump out at me because it's an older game.
Yeah, it's kind of cartoony art,
I
Yeah.
like it. I
but
think it's neat.
yeah, the components are really awesome though.
Oh yeah, the little they're not wooden. The little plastic pirate ships are so nice. I will say it is wooden dice, but you only roll on your turn, which is once every however many
players
people there
there
are.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're constantly rolling wooden dice.
All right, I'm out.
Whatever. They're not a big aspect of the game, so I don't think it would truly deter you.
All right. My number 49, we're going to continue the Asmodee trend, except for this
Okay.
is our first FFG game on the list.
Ooh, first of many, I'm sure.
Yep. I need to do a list of how many FFG and CMON games are on my list.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. There are 2 FFG games and 2 CMON games in this in this 10.
Wow.
First,
this low, huh?
the first one at 49 is Star Wars Imperial Assault.
Nice.
And
Haven't played it.
this is more of a, I haven't played it that much. I've only played it a little bit. And B, of kind of, and also I don't have it. So this is a game that could potentially move up. Although I have a feeling that it basically Mansions of Madness is going to fill that role for the kind of like miniatures kind of combat-y on a modular board kind of game, especially now that they have the app for it as well.
Yeah.
I don't have any desire to invest in everything, but I have played it. I've actually demoed the game for FFG at some conventions, and I love it, and it's a great game. So expect this one to probably be gone next year, with Mansions of Madness taking its role on the list, not its spot, because I imagine it's going to be higher.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, and I'll go ahead. I'll change it up. Go my 48.
Okay, good.
My 48 is actually a Bezier game.
Ooh,
Ooh.
Any guesses?
Is it-
werewolves.
Is it Suburbia?
No, and I have not played
Suburbia.
Werewords.
You played it with me.
Oh, he played it with you.
I will say, hang on, don't tell me. No, I give up.
One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
You said werewolves.
I said the wrong thing.
Yeah,
I thought she said werewolf.
I
yeah.
said the wrong thing.
I've played Insider. I've not played Werewords. But so One Night Ultimate Werewolf. It's a very good party game. However, I will say this game lives or dies on the group that plays it, because especially if you like the first time we played it, I hated it. I didn't understand why people had enjoyed it so much because I was playing with a bunch of people where everyone was just kind of like at the end of the round, they're just like, well, I guess I'm this, and everyone's kind of not really saying a whole lot. But I played it with a group that was mostly everyone but me had played the game before, or was very familiar with the game. Completely different environment. Like everyone's accusing people, and like pretty much the thing is you have to lie in this game. Even if you are what you think you are, you need to lie and say you're something else, so that when somebody says you're your card, you go, "Ha! I got you." So it's just that whole like accusing thing, and it's such a riot. This is one of those games where like if I'm playing it at the game store, I'm having the store owner telling me to shut up because I'm being too loud. Because I'm usually just getting really into it and really games like this and Resistance, I'm usually getting like really passionate into, and so I'm just
we
like,
played it at the Invitational.
huh?
We played it at the Invitational.
Oh yeah, we did play it. That was weird though because we had like more people in the werewolf because like the rolls I threw in were probably not what we needed to be playing at lower player counts. And so it was like we had more on the werewolves team than we did on the non-werewolves.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
I've heard really great things about One Night Ultimate Alien. Actually,
I have not played Alien. I did play Vampire, and I can't remember if I got rid of Vampire or not. I may have gotten rid of it. Yeah, I did get rid of Vampire. I didn't like Vampire because I felt like it overly complicated things, whereas Werewolf's designed to be somewhat simple. Like it added extra phases and extra rolls, and I'm like, I could see if you were playing like just one night all the time, you might want to spice things up with a little bit differently. But as rare as I get it out, I'm just fine with base Werewolf, and I probably need to get Daybreak at some point.
Yeah, I heard Alien kind of just it makes it a little bit more silly.
Yeah. Okay, I'm down for that. All right.
I want Colin to go next because my 48 and 47 are a tie.
Oh.
Okay. So what's your 48?
Oh, my 48. Hang on a minute. My list went to sleep. Oh, is Ice Cool.
Hey, a game I played.
And Phillips played.
Yeah, so this nice little flicking game, getting penguins, getting fish, moving them around. Love it.
This game might be on my list somewhere.
Well, you don't have to tell me yet.
So funny story. My 47 top, well, I guess it's tie for 47, is Ice Cool.
What?
And
40
Hop.
And Top?
Hop.
Oh,
H-O-P.
Hop.
So 2 dexterity games tied for 47. So therefore, I had no 48.
Yeah, I will say, actually, you know what? Now that you say this, I look at my list. Ice Cool and Hop are right next to, or there's one game separating them.
Yeah. So
But
it
yeah,
was-
they're
I guess it
practically
was just-
touching on my list as well.
Yeah, I guess it was just very hard for me to decide which one I like more because they're both so fun for me. I mean, and they're different too because one's flicking and one's throwing. But I don't know. I like the player interaction in Hop, like with everybody's kind of involved on everybody's turn. But then I like that in Ice Cool. I don't know. You're trying to avoid one person, and it's just they're really neat, both of them.
Yeah, you won't find Hop on my list, but Ice Cool is at 48.
So what's your 47?
What?
What's your 47?
Well, she just did her
Oh.
48 and 47, so now you're 47.
Oh, we're
Because they
back.
were-
We're
because they
bouncing
were-
back to me now.
Well, 'cause
Yeah.
They were 47.
Okay. Well, 47 for me is Pandemic. Actually,
The regular
I'm-
pandemic?
I'm actually lumping all iterations. Of
Oh,
Pandemic
okay.
into
Oh, okay.
this. We got Legacy. Excuse me while I die. I'm back.
Don't
we
go
got
dying on the show. That's too much paperwork.
You got Legacy.
It's too much evidence
like,
I got to delete.
On the Brink and the Lab, Iberia, The Cure, all those. I haven't played the Cthulhu one, but I don't really have a desire.
There's
But
a
yeah, all
Cthulhu
of
one?
those.
Yeah, there is a Cthulhu one.
It's just great. It's a nice, easy to learn, easy to teach game.
All right. I will say Kat, I need you to move your butt. Your butt is on my top 10. All right. My 47 is a WizKids game.
Oh.
See, look at that. I got some variety on here. What up? And I'm actually, I have here listed Quarriors, but I'm going to dump Dice Masters on here as well.
Oh, okay. You're actually gonna put them in the same category.
Yeah, I'm gonna put them in the same spot, mainly because they're basically the same game, just about. Except for one, you get to customize your team, and the other one you don't. Whatever, but it's great. It's like it's got the Magic style of card play, but also it's dice, and the game is nothing but rolling dice. So, of course, I'm gonna like it. This is one of those games that just I think it's removed from my library now, just because I just don't play it enough. And there's even an app for it, which is really kind of neat. I didn't think it would be because I thought this was one of those, the components would be good enough, but I do like the app version of it. And I could see this falling off my list really soon, just because, like, some of these games are games that, like, they're only on here because I needed to fill out a list. Like, we're at the bottom of the games I prefer to play. And Dice Masters and Quarriors are kind of falling out of that just because I've been playing much better games. Like, Philip was like, oh, yeah, let's play Dice Masters. I'm like, nah, I'd rather not.
Yeah, that's still one I have not tried.
So, Quarriors and Dice Masters, both good games, especially if you like rolling dice and that sort of thing. There's definitely a lot of stuff. Even the base Quarriors game, there's like 5 or 6 expansions for it. And then Dice Masters, there's like boxes and boxes of stuff. And I think there's no environment down here to play Dice Masters is another big factor. Like there was a bunch of OP organized play stuff, and nobody around here was playing it, so I didn't get a chance to get into any of those. That could have affected things. But at this point, this is another one of those other games that are fulfilling that need.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. And then I'll go ahead and go with 46. 46 marks the first of 2 yellow games on here. And that is, of the Kings, King of New York is coming in at 46.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Does that mean King of Tokyo will not make an appearance? Just say maybe. I don't know.
King of Tokyo is higher on the list.
Okay.
And there's reasons for that. Because I kind of like the gameplay. I kind of enjoy the gameplay of King of New York better. However, King of Tokyo works in the fact it's a simple game. And that's where the enjoyment comes from. So there are a lot of mechanics that I like about King of New York. And if I'm playing with a certain group of people, I would choose New York over Tokyo. But Tokyo's going to come out more because it's easier to teach people. Whereas New York is a very circumstantial. There are people that hate Tokyo that I know will love New York.
Right, that makes sense.
So that's.
Oh yeah.
And there are some things like, for instance, if anyone that's played King of Tokyo, you know that if Sydney's in Tokyo, I'm out of Tokyo, and Colin's out of Tokyo, and Colin's winning. As me, there is literally nothing I can do to stop Colin from winning. Because the only thing I can do is to try and get Cindy to give up Tokyo, and then get into Tokyo, and then start rolling punches to take Colin out.
Right.
Like, that's the only... Whereas in King of New York, there are ways where I can jump into the neighborhood where Colin's at, smash a bunch of buildings that make things rough for Colin, or, for instance...
the military shows up.
Or if I roll good enough on military, it could activate everybody that's on the board. So that's the one thing I really do like about New York over Tokyo is the fact that there's a more dynamic player interaction for people that aren't in the main city area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 46 is King of New York.
All right, how about your 46?
My 46 is Quicks.
Quicks.
Is
So
that
it's a-
QUIXX?
Yeah, it's
That's
a roll and write.
QW.
Oh, yeah.
QWIXX. Yeah, it's a small little roll and write game. You roll dice, and then you have 1 through 12 and 12 through 1 in 4 different colors. Well, I guess you have 2 that are 1 through 12 and 2 that are 12 through 1. And you have to cross out these numbers in order. So like if I cross out 10, I can't go back later and cross out 12 in yellow if I've already, you know what I mean? And you're just basically trying to have as many things crossed out as possible. So you want to be strategic about like what numbers you do cross out, so you don't go too far down the line and miss out on other numbers that might pop up in the die roll later. Because like there's 1 die per color, and then there's also a white die, or is there 2 white die?
There's
I can't remember how many white die.
I think there's 2 white die.
Yeah, and so you can combine either a white die and a colored die,
Or the 2 white
or
dice.
the 2 white dice, and so it's like it's really cool. I think you might enjoy it, Chris. I don't know.
It's really fast.
It is very fast.
I'm down. I have not played it though. That is
And
definitely true.
And it's one of those things that Colin, he, scanned a copy of one of the pieces of paper and he blew it up and laminated it. So it's really nice. It has great replayability for us.
Nice at the restaurants.
Oh yeah, it's really nice at the restaurants because there's no, nothing that could get damaged necessarily.
All right, Colin.
46?
Yup.
46 is Small World.
Hey, another one I've played.
Yay!
It's like Fantasy
Philip,
Risk.
Philip, have you played this one?
And
I think he was muted.
I think you're muted.
I think he mutes himself so he doesn't like cough into this or sneeze.
I do. I'm trying to be nice and not like make weird noises in the microphone. I'm sorry. What was the name of that?
Small World.
Small World. I have not played that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of fantasy races, and it's what I would give to people to get them off of Risk and into modern games. Because rather than just trying to roll well, you're actually strategically placing your people and using special abilities. And you can't really turtle in this game because
Turtle.
the different size maps for different amounts of players. It makes it to where you have to be in each other's faces.
Yeah. Yeah, Small World was a game that, like, when I first got into playing games, I liked, but it was one of those, like, it fell down as I played more and more of that type style of game. It was, like, one of the first games I learned, like, up with, like, Dominion and Ascension and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
It was one of our first games we learned, too, in modern board gaming.
All right, do we get everyone's 46?
I think that's everyone's 46.
All right.
Now, I'd like to pause at this halfway point to get a game that Philip likes. Just a game.
A game that I like?
Something you've enjoyed playing.
How about a game that I like that everyone despises?
What is that?
Is that Munchkin?
It's Munchkin.
I figured you'd say that in like the top 10.
That's like that's tied for us. That's tied with Ascendancy right now. Is what it is. Munchkin and Ascendancy are tied for first place.
When was the last time you played Munchkin?
2 years ago.
Dude.
You like Munchkin because it is your game. The game is it could be called Philip the Board Game.
This is true.
The one of the things we were at our friend's bachelor party. There were 20 of us. We went to Virginia. We got a cabin in some park. We hiked and all a bunch of crap. So at it was Saturday night. Saturday night, we're a bunch of people are upstairs. They're playing beer pong.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
They're up there. They're playing beer pong and whatnot. But they all slowly migrated downstairs. I started with me and 2 other people. I was teaching them how to play Munchkin, and then just like the yelling and the energy, like people were walk by, they'd hear us yelling, they'd see, like, oh, what are these guys doing? What is that card? What is that? The boots of butt kicking? That's kind of cool. And then they came and like everyone stopped playing beer pong.
Yeah.
Like we got
That's awesome.
at a bachelor party, we got people to stop drinking and come down and play a card game.
What's great
Yeah,
is when you
that's
mix
pretty
the drinking and the card game.
Mix the drinking and the card game. Yes.
Well, by that point, I'm sure they were a little,
We definitely play. We definitely played Munchkin during my bachelor party.
We were 3 seats to the wind.
Okay.
I will say that was the reason that you like Munch. Hey, by the way, did you see that it's about to release is the Munchkin collectible card game?
I did. I
Yeah.
haven't been keeping track of it too much, but I do know
And
that
it's
it was out
designed by Eric Lang, the designer of Blood Rage.
there. Oh, yeah.
And it's actually supposed to be really good. Like, even people that hate Munchkin are like, this game's actually kind of good. Because, like,
Now Philip's gonna have to decide Munchkin CCG or Gen Con.
It's funny, actually. Like, it's funny. Like, the way he explained it to some of the interviews is basically Steve Jackson Games came up with Eric Lang. Like, if you had to redesign Munchkin, what would you make? And that's what this is.
Oh, sweet.
But it's with the Munchkin kind of humor and artwork, though. So, all right, 45. Let's go, Cindy.
Seven Wonders Duel.
Ooh, good game.
It's the duel.
So I like Seven Wonders.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good game, but we rarely get it played because we rarely have enough people that.
Are you talking
play
about
it.
Seven Wonders?
Yes. Oh yeah. Seven Wonders. We rarely have enough people. So then when they came out with Seven Wonders Duel, I was like, well, this could work, and it actually works really well. It's a good game. It's very.
It's another one you get mad at me in.
I do get mad at him when we play it because oftentimes he'll like take the card because I'm one of those people that likes to plan ahead, and I'll see something and I'll be going for it, and then Colin will take it, and I'm like, "Wah!" and so I get mad. But
So Seven Wonders was actually my number 65.
okay,
Ah.
yeah. So I don't know. Seven
Was
Wonders
or
Duel
still
just.
is?
Man,
Well, we're not going that far down.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm awake now.
yeah, so Seven Wonders Duel is a very good two-player game. It takes the concept of Seven Wonders and makes it work well for two.
Oh yeah,
because
and especially the way that drafting works with the pyramid, and like a
Oh,
card
yeah,
comes
yeah.
uncovered, and you're just like, "Ha! I'm taking this card," and you're like, "Man, I wanted that card."
Exactly, that's what happens all the time. Yeah, because we've tried Seven Wonders two-player, and like with the dummy third player kind of thing, and it's just
Yeah.
I don't know, it's more work than it's worth. So
Yeah.
this is a good way of doing it too.
My favorite thing at Seven Wonders Duel is because the way the cards alternate is
Oh yeah.
some of the rows you see, some of them you don't. So when you
Right.
see a card and both of you are like, we want that card, and there's one card left before that card gets able to purchase, and everybody's buying around that
Around
card
it,
because like
so that
nobody
you
wants
have
to be
no
the person
choice.
to buy that card that frees it up for the other
for
person
the
to
other
get.
person. Exactly.
All right,
That's good
what's
stuff.
the kitty's 45?
I'm gonna guess that you're meaning me.
No, sorry.
He hears
Meow,
our
kitty
cat
pop,
crying.
meow.
He hears him crying. He's being crazy right now.
All right, Colin.
But yeah, my 45 is actually it's another dexterity game. The Problem Picnic, Attack of the Ants. It was that dice rolling game that we did the other day.
The flicking game that we played
Yeah,
at
Well,
the.
it's not really a flicking game. It was like you like
Oh,
roll your dice.
I was
I
playing
think
it.
you-
I was
yeah, you
playing it
started
like a
flicking
flicking
them.
game. The one at the
The live stream.
live stream. Yes, Philip, you played
Yeah.
this one.
You played it.
I
had the
I do
difference.
remember playing it,
It had the different size dice.
Yeah, where I just couldn't
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
anytime I got a dice on a card, somebody flicked it off.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you have your beginner level, which is what we did because we were just trying to save time.
Yeah.
But then there's the advanced level where you can have multiple different goals that you're going for, and they all vary from game to game depending on which ones you get out. So it's really fun, and I like throwing and flicking. So
Yeah, that was the
45.
game where I got every single special power just about because I was last like every single turn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That usually happens to me, Chris.
All right. My 45 is the first, probably of many, Simon game on the list. And that is The Grizzled.
Oh.
yeah.
And honestly, this was one when I rated everything and I got to see where it all fell out because I'm just looking one at a time. I'm not looking at numbers. This was kind of one of those. I was like, huh, really that far low? Because I really like this game. I like the puzzly aspect of it, especially with the expansions. And I imagine if I played this more, this is a game that I haven't broken out in a while, but I imagine if I had played it more, it'd probably be up higher. But it's just one of those, just every other game on this list is that I'd rather play over than this one. That doesn't mean, it's not a bad game. It's just, so many
It's on
games.
your list.
Yes, it is on the list though, at 45.
Yeah, I almost played this the other day when Cindy was at her choir practice.
Oh yeah.
I don't
But
think,
then I played Sagrada.
because Philip wasn't at the game day that we had where we played this. That was me, you, and Jeremy, right?
And I think
And
Cindy
I
was
played
in on
too.
that.
Okay, Cindy was playing. Okay, that's right. Everybody else was playing viticulture or something, or something like that.
No, I played viticulture.
Oh, okay, whatever.
They were playing something else. I don't remember.
All right, and I'll continue the roll on here with the second CMON on this list, and that is Arcadia Quest.
Oh.
And I know Philip's played Arcadia Quest.
I have played Arcadia Quest.
And there's only one reason why Arcadia Quest is not higher on the list, and that's because I never get it played. Never. I have played this game like 3 times. That's it. And I have so much stuff for it. I even made an insert for it. I have the Pets expansion that I have not played at all. This game has like everything. It's got minis. It's got dice. It's got that kind of
at our first Gen Con.
Yes, I did. We picked it. It was our very first Gen Con. In fact, the box I have is signed.
Yep.
By
that's cool.
2 of the designers on it.
Ever playing? There he goes. Reaching, grabbing, rocking and rolling.
No, I think Eric Lang's the only one that I didn't have sign it. It was one of the artists and then one of the other designers.
We'll take it to Dice Tower and have him sign it for you.
But yeah, it's
Signed by my favorite tenor. And
there's-
those 2 other guys.
there's a har. But yeah, the basic the one at first it was I couldn't get it played because it was all, if you play it with the base inserts and components and stuff, it's a hot mess. There's just a lot of pieces. So that's one reason I made the insert, was like in the hopes that I would play it more because I organized a lot of the stuff. But then secondly, this is just one of those that like most of the people like in our game group tends to be more Euro focused. That they're not going to want to play like, this is a game that like me, Philip, and our D&D group would probably love to play, but like our normal board game group is not going to be really like, I want to play Arcadia Quest.
I've been curious to try it, actually.
I've been wanting to teach it to show it to you guys. It just hasn't, it's one of those something else comes up.
Can you play that solo?
You
'Cause I know there's campaign stuff in there.
You could, but some of the best part is the PvP aspect. Like one of the quests, is to like kill another person's character, which is great because like normally it seems like that's a terrible thing. And, a lot of games get your points, a lot of people, but Arcadia Quest does it brilliantly because like your guys don't really die. Well, they do.
Like respawn,
They
right?
just respawn it in like, you like wait until next round and respawn kind of back to start kind of thing. But that way you don't feel so bad about taking somebody out. It's more of I'm taking them out so I can get to that sword first.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I got with the impression with Adrenaline. I felt like they kind of took that idea from this.
Yeah, except for the early playthroughs. Philip and I played Adrenaline also, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
That was not this past Gen Con, but the one before it. We went to the CGE room and had the guy teach it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure it was you and I.
Okay.
It was the where you had, it was like a video game. It was like a first-person shooter style board game.
This is not ringing a bell at all.
Could have swore you were there. I probably have pictures of us playing it.
Anyway,
Anyways,
Pixar didn't happen, so I mean that's.
Arcadia Quest, right?
Yep. The second and last on this portion of the list. All right.
So,
Cindy, let's go. Or Colin, one of you two.
Cindy, you want to go?
I don't care.
She cares.
Okay, so my what are we on? 44? Yeah, 44. My 44 is Tally Ho.
Tally ho!
It's another
Sounds like a
two-player
Western.
game.
Yeah, it
What?
does sound like a western.
No,
You might be able to stretch it and say that, but it just takes place out.
so it's a two-player game. It's one of those Cosmos games.
Ah,
And one player is the hunters and the
Woodsman.
woodsmen, and the other player is the bears and the foxes. And you're basically, obviously, the hunter is trying to get the fox and the bear and the pheasants and the ducks. The woodsman is trying to cut down trees. The bear is trying to eat the people. The fox is trying to eat the pheasants and the ducks. But the way the game is, it's a grid of tiles. I think it's like 5x5 or 6x6.
No, it's bigger than that. But
I don't know. It's
yeah,
this big old grid of tiles, and
they're all face down.
they're all face down, and you each take turns flipping tiles over. And you can either flip a tile or you can move a tile. And because there's like one less tile than the grid would fit, kind of thing. And so if you flip over somebody and it happens to be next to an empty space on your next turn, or whoever's, they can move it. But like obviously trees can't move, but anybody else can move.
Mhm. But yeah, it's funny when you turn over like one of your people and it's surrounded by trees. You're like, crap, I can't move.
Yeah, I need a woodsman, but oh my gosh, it's a fun little game, and you have to just try and survive.
Yeah, it's
the end.
got a good amount of luck with tiles fall, but
Mhm.
once the tiles are flipped over, there's a good amount of strategy also.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
sounds more like Tally Ho.
So my number 44 is actually Seven Wonders.
What?
What?
Really?
Crazy.
Oh,
Yeah,
I guess he's played it more than
Are
me.
you?
It's been a while
Are you
since
doing the
we
same
played
thing where you're lumping all iterations of Seven Wonders?
No, not really.
Oh.
I do like the feeling of the multiplayer Seven Wonders better than dual, actually. And that might be a little unheard of,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just we don't play it a lot, but it still holds tight with like I do want to play it. I'm always wanting to play it, but either it doesn't seem like it'll fit the situation, or we don't have enough people to play.
Right.
It's usually the box we're stuck in. But I really do love the drafting and the civilization building, and I still want to get a couple of the expansions tried, like the Leaders expansion.
Yeah,
really
I
wanna
haven't played
try that
any of
one.
the expansions to Seven Wonders.
Yeah, it's a good time, and that was my first experience with card drafting, and that was a heck of a time learning how to do that from Seven Wonders.
Yeah. I will say Seven Wonders is weird in the sense that if you're playing, especially when you play towards the full complement, where you don't care at all what's going on the other side of the table.
Yeah,
Because
or you shouldn't care anyway.
Yeah. There's sort of in the fact that like cards will eventually get around to you kind of thing, but really you're just worried about the person to the right and left of you.
Yeah.
And that was weird because I actually had no problem learning the drafting because I had played drafts in Magic. I'm like, oh, in fact, that was one reason I was like, oh, I'm down with this game because I like Magic drafts and this is like that. And that started my love of drafting games. Blood Rage.
Bless you.
Excuse me. It's getting all drafty in here. All right. Did we get everybody's 45?
That was
Or 44? All right.
Yeah.
Cindy, 43, go.
43 is Concordia.
Concord. Like that game.
A game that if I judged by its box cover, I would never play.
I don't think you'd like it anyway.
What about the new art?
I have
It's
not
got a
seen
new
new
cover.
art.
It's the same thing, but just a little better.
Okay. Yeah,
This is
I keep hearing people talk about it, and a lot of people in our group love it. It's just I have not played it.
I don't think you would like it, so don't worry.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you'd probably think it was hideous.
Well, he'd probably just think it was boring. It's just not a Chris game.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
a
a
Chris
heavy.
game.
It's a heavy, almost themeless Euro. So yeah, he's not gonna enjoy it.
The card
But-
play is where it's at, though.
Yeah, because I don't know. You're trying to build up an empire in, I don't know. Is it Concordia?
It's the
Where you are.
Mediterranean.
It's in the Mediterranean, but you're doing this. Everyone has the same starting hand of cards, and on your turn, you play a card and you do the action. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And one of your actions can be to get more cards. And that's when the variations happen, is based on what card you buy and what extra abilities and things you can have. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the nice thing is that everyone starts off with a card called the Diplomat. And
Oh, you can
so even if you didn't get a specific card from the market, you can
copy it.
copy that ability once that person plays it.
Yep.
So that's pretty neat.
Yep.
Timing.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to jump in our normal order here. I'm going to go my 43. And see, this is one reason I haven't made a top 50 like this, is because my interests are probably like way different from a lot of people. I have a bunch of random interests I like. I also kind of go with hype a little bit. Like I I understand why people that do love Munchkin. So like I'm of the mind that there's not necessarily a bad game. There's just a game that you're not, some games are tailored to some people.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
For instance, my number 43 is a very similar game to Cards Against Humanity. It's that style of gameplay, which I know turns off a lot of people. In fact, when I start off talking about this game, saying that, well, it plays like Cards Against, they're like, I'm out. And I'm like, but hold on.
Is it Crabs Against Humidity?
No, it's Noisy
That's
Person
Just.
Cards.
Oh, it is a Jest, that's right. Noisy Person Cards?
Noisy Person Cards is my number 43 because I'm like, okay, it's Cards Against Humanity, except for we're going to be doing character voices. And that's what makes this game awesome. That's the trick, because this game is not about who wins or loses. The game is about making your friends do the stupidest voices they've ever have. Like,
I don't know that I've ever even heard of this game.
oh, it was
I had never heard the description.
it's a Kickstarter that was done by two podcasters that I follow. They're two RPG podcasters, and they did a Kickstarter for a game. It's called Noisy Person Cards. It's NPC. You actually can't get this game anymore, at least this version of the game, because what happens? They Kickstarted the game, and I backed the Kickstarter, and I got it, and then the host, the two podcasters, they went on to the Toy Box, Mattel's Mattel's show where they have people show off different toys, and they sold the rights to the game to Mattel, to where it would get into stores at and Toys R Us and all this other stuff. Well, when they remade it, they called it the Noisy Persons card game, and they made it more kid oriented. Like they made it so the base, the Noisy Person Cards game was basically designed around role players, but the difference is they call it Noisy Persons. Is this basically the version that was and actually now you're not gonna be able to get, because it looks like most Toys R Us's are closing down anyways, and it was exclusive to Toys R Us thing. So I'm not sure if that means any rights are gonna get reverted back or whatever. But anyways, it's long enough about the game. But basically, or long enough about the game. Let me tell you what the game is. So the game starts out where just like in Cards Against Humanity, there is a prompt card. Except for here, it's a character card where everybody puts, or the person who's the judge puts out a character. In this case, it might be a dwarf, or it might be a picture of a goblin, or it might be, just random. It may say a wizard's apprentice, some generic tropey. As I shake everything, some generic tropey fantasy. It's a fantasy style themed game, and then everybody has a hand of cards that have different phrases on them. And the thing is you pick a phrase out of there, and then you have to do a voice of what your impression of that character sounds like.
Oh.
And then the judge gives.
Was voted on.
the judge gets voted on who did the best voice. However, they could do, there's these there's more to it. I won't go into all that more. There's like, each card also has an adjective. So where if you don't want to play a card, or if you don't want to do a line, you could play an adjective that will, like, maybe he's a drunk, wizard or whatever. And there's like showdowns that you can do to play it off of, in case like people are in a tie. But not only that, but it's just like the sayings are ridiculous. And hold on, I'm gonna actually.
Oh, I think he's doing another reach.
And like the headphone cord reach too.
Yeah. Well, I'm insured to buy long headphone cords. So this is the game, noisy person cards. So I'm gonna draw cards at random here. So let's see, character card. So the character card I got was just hero disguised as a minion.
Okay.
Hero,
Alright.
okay.
It's a hero disguised as a minion.
A
And-
sheep in wolf's clothing.
So
Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?
So then I drew a card, so I have like a saying on it, and so let's see, what would a hero disguised as a minion be like? See, it's weird because it almost would be like me doing a voice of a minion is almost the same as my interpretation of a hero. All right, we're gonna skip that. I'm gonna
I
pick
think
up.
Philip nailed it. That's Luke Skywalker in episode 4.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Oh, here we go. I just got one that says grandma. So then I'll get,
Okay.
so say this is the card I want to play, and I'll be like, yeah, since I've started this all elf bread diet, I swear I have more energy than ever.
All right then.
But they're all fantasy things. Like some of them's like, they don't call me the Displacer Beast for nothing. Really though, you have 7 days to vacate or I'll call the authorities. So, it's the kind of game where, like, if you play role-playing games at all, you're going to love this game because some of them are hilarious. But it's a really funny game, especially, again, another one of those games that's good, especially if you've been had a few libations. It's a good end-of-the-night con game is what I found also. It's like you're sitting around.
Okay.
It's really easy to teach. I've played it with up to, like, 8 people before, and you're just, like, running around just, like, or not running around, but like going around just doing stupid voices. And it's really funny when like you do a voice or you're about like, you've got this idea of what your voice sounds like. And then the person over there does the exact same thing. You're like, well, crap. And then you just decide to do something like, cause even it gets to the point where it's not always the voice, but like some people are doing like movements with their arms, or like they might have it to do a cloak. They'll like take their hood and like throw it over, and then they'll get like dark and deep, and it's just like they start doing like really stupid stuff, and so it just becomes more than just the voice. But it was actually designed to be as a way to people to work on their character voices for playing RPGs.
Ah, okay.
That was the original point of the game, and it just kind of evolved into this fun card game. So the longest we've spent talking about a game on the list, but
Yeah.
Well, since NPC's on your list, is Super Fight on your list?
Super Fight is not on my list. All right.
what's your next one?
Yeah, Colin's the only one that hasn't gone 43 yet, right?
Yeah. My number 43 is The Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh, I've played this once, and I've played like one round. That's it.
Did you play with us?
Oh, no, it was like probably a preview.
No, I
thing.
played at Gen
Yeah.
Con.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's like a worker placement version of the game of life. You're actually making meaningful decisions in what you're doing. Like, I think I want to go on a cruise, or I want to
Have a pet llama.
have a pet llama, and you not just get married or like you would in the game of life. You actually have different people you can choose from to be partners or spouses with, and they all have different requirements. Like, you need to have a lot of knowledge to be with this one person because she only likes smart people.
And you need to have a lot of money to be with this person. He only likes he's a gold digger.
Or you could
Yeah.
choose not to be with someone.
Yeah.
Yes, you could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's not a stop and get married spot.
Yeah.
You can choose whatever you want,
Yeah,
and
I like it a lot.
but yeah, it's a great time. And a lot of times I just play it thematically, and I end up winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying.
The one thing I don't like about this game that I originally was excited about was the solo play. And I do not like the solo play in this, but I love it in the when we play it at least 2 players. It's great.
It is a good game.
All right.
All right, Colin, what's your 42?
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll go again.
Chris has talked a lot.
He did talk a lot.
I tend to do that.
So I'm going classic here, and 42 is Puerto Rico.
Oh,
And we just played this again the other day.
we did.
But Philip, are you familiar with Puerto Rico?
It's a territory of the United States, south of us.
Thank you.
I'm more
no,
familiar with
the
the
game-
annexation of Puerto Rico.
Little Giants, I love that. But yeah, Puerto Rico, it's a classic Euro now. It apparently was at number 1 on BGG at some point. Turn you pick a role, it gives you an ability.
And all your opponents'
you
abilities.
get a special version of that ability, and everyone else gets to do the lesser version. It's another one of those really smooth going, but not super fantastic looking games. But I think Meeple Source has a lot of upgrades for this game.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
If we got it played more, I'd probably look into getting some of those. Like
Yeah.
they had some nice wooden boats for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Puerto Rico is one of those games. I'm pretty sure I've played Puerto Rico, but it's one of those games where like if you consider Catan to be like the granddad of most modern Euros, this is like the grandmother.
Oh
right,
yeah.
Right.
Like they kind of go hand in hand, and they're both pretty older games that you see traces of it in most games that are out today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got your resource management, your role selection, even Concordia. You could say, okay, I'm choosing this role.
Boring Euro
like-
themes.
Yeah, no. Just like in Concordia, you're choosing a card from your hand. In Puerto Rico, you're choosing a role from the table.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I could see that. It's like, yeah, it inspires a lot of different things. So yeah, Puerto Rico.
All right, Cindy, 42.
My 42 is Colt Express.
Woo-hoo.
So this is
It's a train game. You get
yeah, well, kind
it
of.
takes place on a train.
You're bandits on a train trying to steal loot, and I guess you're trying to ignore the marshal or have the marshal, and then you're also trying to avoid your opponents because they can shoot you or punch you and take your loot and all sorts of stuff like that. Oh, sorry. And you're just trying to basically collect the most money by the end of the game. And it's another one of those it's a programming game, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Because everybody has the same cards, and I mean you only get 5 in your hand at a time out of however many cards you
I think
no,
it's 6.
it's 6 cards. Oh, excuse me. But there's way more than 6 cards that you have to choose from. So you draw up to 6, and you pick and you program based on what you want. And so, like, you could lay down a punch card, and then your opponent lays down a shoot card, and all sorts of stuff. But then there's also some cards that are placed face down anonymously, or not anonymously, but your opponents don't know what they're playing. You don't know what your opponents are playing, and so you could play, or your opponent could play a movement card face down. Then you could play a punch card face down, thinking they're right next to you. You could punch them and take their loot, but then they've moved, and then your turn. Oh, I'm punching the air because they moved. And
Yep.
how exciting! And, so it's a fun little game. I like it a lot, and I like that it plays well with up to 6, right, babe?
I've
Yeah.
only played the app version of this game. This is not when I played the physical version of the app version. I was just kind of like, it's a game. But I have a feeling because
Okay.
this is also one that's got a very visual component kind of aspect to it. So I have a feeling that could affect my
Yeah.
opinion of it.
The only annoying thing is putting the people in the train car, like on top of the train, it's fine, but when you're putting them in the train, it's a little more difficult to get them out or to like pick up the loot without knocking other loot out of the train car.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
and we don't have very fingers.
But it's almost a dexterity game in and of itself in that way, because you're trying not to like break the train because it's cardboard. It's very nicely done cardboard, but still you're trying not to like knock everything apart and knock all the pieces out and whatnot when you're pulling your person out.
All right, Colin, have we done your 42 yet?
Yeah.
No, it was 43.
No, your 42 is Port Royal.
What?
No, we haven't.
It's Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
That was 42.
42 is Puerto Rico for him. Because
Okay.
he did 2 back to back.
All right,
Which
just
one was
making
your
sure.
42?
He said 43. That's why it threw me off.
He did. He
All right.
messed up.
My 40
bad.
my 42 is another Star Wars game on this list. And that is Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures.
Woohoo! X-Wing Miniatures!
Okay, again, a game I know Phillips played. I love the gameplay in this. It's got miniatures, it's got dice. It seems to be right up my alley. But a lot of the reasons, and I talked about this last time, so I won't hit upon them too much, but just a lot of setup and, just in the moment, even though I like the game, when I first learned the game, it was like one of my favorite games ever. Like, if I made this list like 3 years ago, this would be in my top 10. But nowadays, it's just where I choose to spend my time. If everyone has it set up, sure, I'd love to play it, but it's not going to necessarily be the... Ow, cat. Cat bit me. So, that's my number 42 is X-Wing Miniatures.
Number
Okay.
41!
All right.
Number 41.
Finish off this list. My number 41 is actually the newest one of my list so far, and it's actually a dexterity game, and
Ooh.
that would be Flick 'em Up, Dead of Winter.
Oh,
Ah,
yes,
yeah,
of
yeah.
course.
Like them zombies, and
Yeah.
definitely love the Dead of Winter vibe. I like Flick 'em Up. It's just a hoot and a half. I'm not gonna.
Cool.
We did a whole episode review on it, but just I like the game. I like dexterity games. It's got zombies. It's one of those. Why would I not like this game?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels a lot like Dead of Winter also.
Yeah, and that everybody dies because that dumb zombie tower.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's very detrimental to the old trying to live thing.
Yeah. All right, Cindy, 41.
So my 41 is Alhambra. This is another older game, and you are building up your city. You collect tiles. We have to pay for them, and you collect the tiles and you add them to your city. And then throughout the game, there are random scoring opportunities, and you score based on the different types of buildings that you have in your city. And you also score for walls. And I like it, and I never win. And the two-player variant has a dummy third player where you're just kind of taking tiles and putting them off to the side
Yeah,
for him.
at the beginning,
it's
and draw 6 tiles, and then that's just their tiles that they score during the next
so
scoring
it's
period.
completely random what they get, and they don't score for walls or anything. But I cannot win this game, no matter how much we try or how much I try. I don't know. I'm doing everything the way you should be. I'm focusing on walls. I'm focusing on getting variety. Oh, it's just terrible. I don't know what's wrong with me.
This is another
I
one of
love
those
it.
classics I haven't played. That it's
Yeah.
Oh,
I
really?
want. Yeah, I've not played. I've seen the gameplay because I watched like the again back when I first got into games, and like I saw the games that I learned how to play were basically because they were featured on tabletop, and Alhambra was one of the first games on tabletop that first season.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean,
haven't played it though.
good game.
Phillips played this one.
Oh yeah,
He played it at one of the game days we had
it was
here.
like a 5-player
No, it was
player.
Yeah.
It was
Whatever.
so great, even he
wasn't
doesn't
playing.
remember it.
Yeah, this does not sound like something I remember.
You played it with another redhead.
I played it with another redhead?
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
Anyway,
Well, that makes sense. That's why he doesn't remember it because he was probably staring at the redhead the whole time.
your soul was being sucked out. What soul you had left?
Yeah, we were fighting over the souls we've sucked out. That's what it was.
So anyway, my number 41
All right, Calm, finish this off.
is Imagine. It's,
All right, I'm imagining.
Okay, so imagine this.
Oh, I love Imagine.
It's a party game. Think of it as Pictionary, but all the pictures are already drawn, and you're just combining them together. It's all the transparent cards, and you got like the men's room guys, but they're in like different poses, and then there's a whole bunch of other shapes and stuff that you can combine these things with to try to imitate a word or phrase on a card that you have, and whoever, like, you go around the table and everyone does this twice, and if someone, what are you doing?
Never mind.
Cindy's grabbing my stuff.
Nope.
Whoa!
Oh,
She grabbed
that's
my
why
phone.
the video's turned off. Okay.
Nope.
Anyway, you go around the table and everyone does this twice, and whoever guesses it, that person gets a point, but you also get a point for getting someone to guess it. So like if you like give up, then there's no points and it just move on. But it's a hoot. Like someone that I would have never have pictured doing toilet humor did some toilet humor in this, and it was awesome. And it was literal toilet humor. He made it look like having no, it was, like a guy was pooping.
Are you pooping?
Yeah.
Hey, are you pooping?
Where did that come from?
Yeah, but Imagine, it's a great game.
I will imagine that it's a great game.
Yeah, we even do it 2-player. It's not a game at that point. It's like going back and forth, getting each other to guess stuff, but it's fun.
All right, and I think we've droned on long enough, so we'll go ahead and call it with that. That is the end of our episode here. So, anybody got anything final remarks they want to say before I shut us down?
Nothing that's appropriate for public.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
It's me. What'd you expect?
with that, I'll play him out.
And I'm
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We will continue next time with games number 40 through 31. And I'll try not to drone on as much, so it won't be so long.
At least you admit it.
Yeah, I do. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Chris the Prof on Twitter and Instagram.
I am Callcakes196 on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm Cindy Pastorius on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm Phil the Dirtbag on Twitter.
All right. You could also send us any comments or questions. Feedback at boardsandswords.com. You can also go on Facebook.com/OCDcast. That's also the best place to find us if we are recording live or not. You can see our events there. Or you can follow the Twitch page, twitch.tv/OCDcast. As a general rule, so far, we're doing every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, but that could change at any moment probably. So, thank you guys for listening. This podcast is a member of the Dice Tower Network. Make sure you go check out the website for a whole bunch of other great podcasts. And go to Cool Stuff Inc. because they work with them, and they're a great sponsor, and they have a lot of cool deals on stuff. CoolStuffInc.com. So, again, we'll see you guys for more other top 10 lists, other news, other great stuff, and what are we saying? Whatever. In the meantime, thank you for listening, and just remember that every gamer has a story, and mine is that I talk too much.
Got him! Got him!
It's over. Hold on. Hey, Philip, I'm going to stop the stream because we've been droning on for a lot. I think we'll just save all the sword play stuff until the next time when you're here, and we can flip through the book together.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Oh, I can talk now.
Yeah, we're done recording.
Well, I'm gonna go shut it off, but yes.
In like 20 seconds.
Oh, okay.
He's got his headphones off. Say whatever you want about him right now.
Boogers.
Cheddar.